my, we're here. We're here.
I know. I know. So why don't you start and just tell people because you brought this idea up to me. And of course, I jumped on it immediately. So why don't you start?
All right. Well, my name is Cynthia Pacheco. I am an SEO expert. I have an SEO agency. I have a bunch of SEO courses and trainings. And I'm also a mom. Just kind of like that label came about recently, just like a whole transformation. And yeah, I guess here we are with Jen
I'm
on our own podcast.
I'm Jen Vasquez. I am the owner of Jen Vasquez Photography and Jen Vasquez Media. I'm in the process of merging those businesses. And I'm an agency owner for Pinterest. I'm a Pinterest marketing expert. And we met a long time ago, didn't we?
We have to look it up for the next episode. But yeah, I'd say it's been because yeah, you joined my courses and I think maybe like at least 6, 7 years.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking was 5, 6 years. So probably six.
Yeah.
And you reached out. Well, first of all, we do education together. Like Cynthia will come into my membership group and things like that. So we love to do these little side hustles, if you will, with each other. But you came to me saying, hey, we have a podcast. So what made you think about that?
So I decided a few years ago that one of the keys to growing business is collaboration, and no one or not enough people talk about it. Especially, I mean, the pandemic, just all these things, like even working with a computer, you're kind of like isolated, right? Sometimes. And in order to speed up some of the results that I was seeing and also just have more fun, to be honest, and just be with people who are so fun, like Jen, who she lifts me up, you lift me up when you're talking and you just have such a great vibe. And so I was like, I love talking with her. I think we both just work well together and we both have so much energy to create. And we're also so busy, but how could we, but how can we come together and collaborate in a more meaningful way? Like Jen, you've done co-launches, we've done joint venture launches together. I've sold in your group, you've come to my audience, like we've cross-pollinated already so much, but I was like, but I want to do more. And we both already have podcasts too. So I was like, I feel like, oh, and I have been feeling limited by my SEO topic, right? Because I have so many things I want to say. Now, in my podcast, I do talk about being a mom, for example. I'll have episodes about mom stuff, but I still felt like this is limiting. And the whole topic of digital marketing for female founders has always been on my heart. And if I look back, I've always talked about everything. So again, I wanted to do collaboration. I wanted to collaborate with someone who brings me so much energy and excitement. And I wanted to be able to talk about the broader scope of online business, which I know, Jen, you know about too, because you have so much knowledge. So that's my intention. And that was my inspiration. And I had no idea what she was going to say. I was like, she might go for it, but I was like, that's the other thing about Jen. She like goes for it, and there's just so many people playing it small. And it's like, well, how can we show people to go big, to like show up? Right. And so this is that.
Yeah. And we're both overwhelmed with work. Like we both have teams. They're all taxed. We're probably getting to a point where we want to hire another person, but we don't really want to spend the money to hire another person. So we're
Yeah,
like working smarter, not harder, like all the things.
exactly.
So we're really literally in the middle of scaling our businesses also. And the
Yes.
reason why I said yes, I mean, I would say yes to almost anything for you because I love your vibe. I love how you make tech sound so easy and you have an amazing experience in areas that I need to stretch on. And
Mhm.
so I jumped at this chance because I think it's so great to do a podcast with another person. I do interviews on my podcast. By the way, so my podcast name is Marketing Strategy Academy, where I do interviews and Pinterest marketing education. Cynthia, name yours because
Mine, yeah, mine's called Digitally Overwhelmed, and it's mostly SEO topics, but I also interview And I also randomly talk about mom stuff because now I'm a mom, but that's what you can do on your podcast,
Yeah. And
right?
I feel like I also said yes because I also feel like there are so many moms out there that are seeing all of the social media posts that are like 10K months and, hustle this. And, I feel like a lot of it is crap. I'm just going to put it out there. That's kind of how I feel. And whenever a mom approaches education for her business, she also has to think about her time limitations. So these are going to be ideally 10 to 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes if we're on a roll.
Yes.
This one might be a little
Yes.
longer, but we want to make them fast enough that you can listen while you're taking your kids to school, while you're grocery shopping, taking a walk, which is also mindset to get out of the house, maybe even. So
Yes.
I feel like I wanted to make sure that we had some education here and really just conversations too. Like we want to make it actionable for everyone to listen, like worth the time that you invest, but also that it's just kind of like a fun conversation. So that's
Totally.
why we started it.
And
And
accessible, because we're
yes,
both in marketing types. Like I say and again, like no one likes SEO doesn't feel sexy to people. And like maybe that's how you feel with Pinterest. But like I say the word SEO and already people
your
just like,
eyes are rolling back in it.
yeah. And it's like, what is she gonna tell me? Like, and so I almost want us to like, I want to invite female founders and business owners to explore different areas of growth. And like Jen said, we are like living proof. We're like going through it now. So we're going to be sharing our stories, our insights, what has worked for us, where we've seen traction. And that's also why we're doing this podcast, because we are growing our businesses and we want to reach these new audiences that maybe wouldn't look for an SEO podcast or a Pinterest podcast, right?
Yeah, and it's going to be all marketing. So let's say something pops up like threads. We're going to get on here and we're going to talk
Yeah.
about it. We're going to experiment because we both
Mhm.
are some people who literally look at all the different types of marketing,
Yes.
check all of the analytics to know which
Yes.
is working well. SEO,
Yes.
YouTube, Pinterest. I'm just saying are the search
Yes.
functions. So they drive a lot of traffic, but we're going to investigate everything. So if you have a topic that you would like us to cover, please let us know. We have both, we have separate Instagram accounts, separate websites, and we're going to keep it like that for now. So, but you can definitely send us a message and we'll have all the information down below to let us know what you want to hear. Like we
Yeah.
want to talk about marketing in general, but if there's specific areas, we'll investigate. We'll talk with
Yeah.
experts and come back on here and talk about our experience and what we found out.
Exactly. Yeah, and make it fun and easy and like just not boring, I guess, or just kind of like accessible. I think that's the thing. Cause I think a lot of there's just I feel like women come to me and they're like, well, there's just this one way of doing SEO. And I think SEO is an art and a science. Like it's not so strict. And people are shocked when I tell them. I mean, you know that, Jen, because you've been in my
Yes.
community for a while. So yeah.
And I agree. Pinterest is the same way. People say, you have to use hashtags. You don't have to. I just had a big old, not argument, but a big old discussion online about hashtags. And every expert's going to be totally different in what they think and they feel. And just for your knowledge and for everyone else's knowledge, I test that all the time to make sure that what I'm talking about, which I'm sharing, will just be for my type of audience, my type of clients, and from
Yes.
testing that I've done. But it's going to be a ride and I can't wait to get started. So this is our first podcast. Our first
Amazing.
episode in the bag. All right. So definitely comment, you guys, subscribe, share with your friends, but let us know what you want to hear about too, because this is going to be an ever evolving and changing podcast for whatever we feel like talking about in terms of marketing.
Oh, and we're also just last thing, we're also going to be talking a lot about mindset because that's going to come
Yes.
in because I've just encountered that there's so many tools, like there's just so many tools that we were just talking about the podcast, like getting
No.
this going. It's incredible how the tools have evolved. And so the biggest frontier that I see a lot of my, whatever my clients, my just women in my sphere is the mindset of being online and showing up and visibility and blah blah blah. And again, that's something I really admire in you, Jen, because you're always getting out there, and you can tell that you've worked on your mindset. And so I want to be able to also share that with this in this space, because it's so important, and it's important to work on it.
Well, and I think too, you and I were just talking before we popped on here that we're both in the very middle of scaling to the next
Mhm.
level in both our businesses. Normally that's not the case when you have a business bestie, right? You
Yeah,
you guys aren't usually on the same track. And
yeah,
I feel like we're just going to that next level takes a different mindset, takes a different
exactly.
workflow. It's all those things. So
Yes.
I think mindset is a piece of that that has to be talked about and explored. So we'll be talking about it or complaining, but one way or another, we're going to get that information out there.
Get ready.
All right. Bye.
Bye.